All right. Chapter 34, Annex Scroll 2. This is written on a scroll found in the temple of Atharahara, the possession of Neti and free women of Pibes. Then there was peace throughout the land, and the two priesthoods dwelt together in tolerance. But behold, the day came when the hearts of men turned again to strife, and the land was rent in twain, and the forces of the red reed crown strove against those of the white lily crown. Once again the dark mists of ignorance descended to envelop the hearts of men. Again, the sacred shrines of truth were closed, and those who served truth withdrew behind the veil and were hidden from the eyes of those who would profane her. The whole land was torn apart from upstream to downstream, from the right hand to the left of Egypt. There was strife. Then came one who was mighty among men, one who also knew truth and saw the wickedness of the people. He was a declared one, for unless a man be such, he has no value among the chosen. He carried the sword among the striving peoples, and in his day the might of Mantethrop prevailed, the spirit of Hori, who took the land from Nama, and of Minis, who united it, were with him. Then the lands of the north and the lands of the south were delivered into the hands of the king, and they became one. They were united, though they remained two. They were even as they had been before. Yet the multitude declared themselves for the ways of the multitude, and the light of truth remained obscured behind the dusts raised by their dancing feet. Though peace and plenty reigned throughout the land, righteousness did not attend to the throne of later kings. They ruled as kings, but the days of their rule were dark days of sorrow for the followers of truth, for they became few and feeble indeed. They were lost in the land, again as in other days. The high servant of the sacred mysteries, who held the key, commanded that the sacred shrines be closed. This was so that any knowledge of the great secrets should not pass into the possession of the unworthy multitude, which would profane them. Again, as has happened many times, the great light was removed from the midst of men. Then came the year of the great flood of waters, though some say it was before these days, when the salt seas rose upon the east and covered the land. Men were warned beforehand by the shortening of the days of the years, and the 5 days now added to the days of the year are days of sorrow for the alteration of things. It is said that 7 days before the coming of the waters, the sun appeared in a different quarter. But this is not easy to believe, as the sun remains ever constant. The sailors of the king certainly departed for strange places during the chaos of waters. Perhaps this was because the sun had left his steady course. The kings came and departed to their place. They ministered unto the people according to the light revealed unto them. Most knew only the veiled truth, but in olden times they were better kings than in later days. There were long generations of men who walked with wisdom, and among them was the generation of the first great master, he who established the brotherhood of the chosen ones of light. In those days men learned the rites of coming forth by day, but the inner wisdom was not declared before them. Yet they were days of wisdom, skill, and knowledge, but the knowledge of the Spirit still languished, and the sacred secrets remain hidden. In fact, never have they been revealed to the multitude of men, for never has the multitude of men been worthy. Now men say that all the wisdom of those wise availed them nothing. Have they not long gone down into dust? Have they not departed to the land of no return, to the place that may or may not be? Where is their memorial? Where is their shrines? Can even their tombs be seen? They say among themselves, as it will ever be said when men are deluded by their mortality, the life of man is short and uncertain, the one certainty in life being the approach of death. What awaits hereafter no man can tell, for no man is known to have returned from out of his tomb. We are all the children of accident and mischance, and in a short generation shall be as though we had never been. Our bodies shall harden and be ground to dust, and the fire of our hearts shall burn itself out and turn to ashes. Our shade will hover for its day and then be wafted away on the wind, and as the waters come and go, our name will pass from the memories of men forever. The works of men shall pass away like the shadow of a cloud upon the sand, and his life will vanish like the dew of morning that disappears in the heat of the rising sun. What are the days of man but the shadow of a shadow, and he passes away to an end from which there is no returning. He goes out through a door which is immediately shut, and there is no way back. They say, "Come, therefore, and let us be joyful. Let us cast aside the long face of learning, the melancholy face of discipline. Let us enjoy the good things of life which are all about us. Let us take no thought for an uncertain future. Where is the profit in that? Let us eat and drink to fullness. Let us grant our bodies all means of satisfaction. Let no means of pleasure and enjoyment pass us by, but whatever comes our way, let us make the best of our lot in life. Let us turn our backs on all doctrines of the Spirit, for they deny us much. Let us give full rein to all our senses and feelings, and let them serve the ends of pleasure. We will take no heed of the poor and helpless, for where is the benefit in this? What have we to fear from them, we who are strong? Let the widow weep alone, for why should her sorrow disturb us? Let us avoid the encumbrances of the aged and maimed. Let us use our strength to obtain all we need for our own well-being. Let our strength provide the rule and establish the right. Let strength and power, riches and position alone be valued, and let the weak and the feeble survive as they may. Perhaps in our generosity we will spare them a few crumbs or bestow upon them the things we do not need. Let us take no more of their criticism and their objections. Have they more swords than we have? Are we to be overawed by a God whom they cannot produce? Such are the things spoken by men today, and if they declare them not openly, they hide them in their hearts. This is their law, their way of life, be the law declared before men or hidden in shame. The life of their years cannot answer them, for the answer lies hidden in the life of ages. Gold is not gathered by the wayside. Yet the wisdom of our fathers did avail them, whatever is said in the streets today. They have indeed left a memorial worthy of reverence, and they are not without shrines. The wise words they spoke have not gone down to be eaten by dust, nor have they been carried away on the wings of the wind. For as for the enlightened ones who passed among the people and strengthened them since the days when the gods walked with men, their names have become lasting even though they themselves have gone. They did not make themselves tombs of stone and memorials of metal, nor did they desire them. They were unable to leave estates to their children. Some were unable to even to leave an heir alive. Nevertheless, they made heirs for themselves among those who study their writings, and they have left treasures of wisdom for their estates. Their memorials are the words which came from their mouths and remain still alive on the tongues of men. Books of wisdom are the heritage they have handed on, and they forge the frail reed into a mighty weapon. Where are there like today? Men sneer at the achievements of the past, at the greatness that has gone, but are these not achievements and greatness they cannot themselves hope to emulate? If men have climbed high today, did they themselves build the stairway, or was it erected by the labors of those long gone? Was not the first step laid down in ages long past? Is the first step of least importance? Is the foundation any weaker than the superstructure, even the superstructure of today? Yes, the great men of wide wisdom have gone. They are forgotten, yet through the greatness of their works they are honored, and their spirit moves among us still. The chords they struck still echo within our hearts. Where today are the rulers and princes this land once knew? Where are similar officials to be found? Today, bribery creeps behind the seats of judgment, corruption lurks on the right hand, and perjury sneaks around to the left. What of the flow of fine words that accompany a magistrate to his seat of appointment? What have these noble utterances become but a more meaningless babble? Yet are they not a glorious thing capable of moving the hearts of men with their inspiring message of hope in the ultimate attainment of justice? Let them be recorded for all time. He who is purer of hands comes forth. He utters the words that have come from the temple of Mant. Those with panther skins bear the symbols of authority. These words are spoken. You are the ever-faithful servant of truth, the humble one who begs her for guidance. You are not the Lord of justice, but one who ever seeks it with humility and perseverance, praying it will bless your decisions. You are henceforth one whose words are heavy with authority, whose eyes see without prejudice, and whose ears are closed to intolerance. Your thoughts are clear and clean, your heart is pure. It is free of all malice, and to you a vindictive verdict will be an abomination. The mantle of wisdom rests on your shoulders, and the robe of learning is your garment. Your tongue is the servant of truth and the sword of justice. Your mouth is the shrine of honor and the cave of retribution. Your heart is the temple of purity and the storehouse of wise judgments from the past. Justice will ever be your guiding light and rule. It will lead you even to the appointed place before the mother of the king. Wherever you go, uprightness will take command. You will wield the sword of justice without fear. You will bear it before the sight of all men. You will carry it to the rich and powerful, to the poor and lowly, without discrimination. You will strike down all merchants of falsehood, all fork-tongued deceivers, all who bear false witness or break the statutes of the king. Let wickedness perish in the sands. Justice is not a thing less than the measure, but that which fills it to overflowing. It exceeds the bounds of moral requirements. It endures everlastingly and is not denied one who is entombed. It passes over with the spirit to bear witness. It is the great brightener. It is not a thing bought and sold. Justice cannot be bartered. Be ever above price, one worthy of the greatness you reflect on earth, one ever above mundane things. Be not as the ferryman who demands payment before his task is fulfilled, who bears upon the water the man who makes payment and no other. Be as the sun whose brightness seeks out every nook and cranny and pours light into the hidden gloom. Be one who shines among men to lighten their days. Spread uprightness and honesty across the two lands, as the sunshine spreads brightness and warmth. Cover the land with goodness as the rising waters cover it with fertility. Fill the land with strength as the north wind fills it with contentment. Guard your heart as a father guards his daughter, as a mother guards her baby, for it is the stronghold of integrity. Be vigilant concerning every deed, for the eyes of men are ever upon you. The life you live is not yours alone. You are the image which men will imitate, and you are before every eye. The blowing wind will open its ear at your windows and spread wide its report. The flowing waters beside your door will uncover their eyes and carry what they behold through the land. Your position makes you a supporting pillar of the government. If the pillars be rotten, the roof crashes. Your responsibilities will beset your life with care. The road you journey is stony and encompassed with pitfalls and thorns. The cup you drink will be more often bitter than sweet. Though you will judge all men impartially, do not, in your diligence, incline towards the poor and unprotected, because they are such. Your duty is to see that all things are done according to the statutes of the king, in the manner in which they have been done previously. You are not wise enough to set aside the wisdom of the past. Every man must be dealt with as though he stood before you naked and unknown. Let he who is permitted entry into your courtyard be as he who is left standing outside the gate, and your decisions must be given with indifference as to whether they serve him well or ill. Such were the words uttered at the installation of an official empowered to give judgment. In other days, such words were honored and adhered to. Now they are ignored. Now justice lies buried in a tomb of past precedents, swathed in mummy bandages of formality. It consists of the impartial, heartless administration of the recorded statutes rather than the redress of injustice. Where has the glory gone? All is lifeless, all is dead. The hands that guide are dead, the hands that rule are dead. Men may ask in days yet to dawn how it came about that the flame of glory died in Egypt, how her grandeur passed away into dust, how, when man had climbed so high, he could climb no longer. But there is no simple cause. The seeds of degeneration lie dormant in every nation, in every man. As the man, so the nation. These seeds are as weeds which spring up when the cultivated soil is neglected, when it is tended with indifference. The road to greatness is, for nations as for each man, a hard and stony one. Greatness is a gift requiring constant effort to retain. When men decline the effort, greatness departs. Greatness and glory will abide only in the habitations of the worthy. They depart when no longer treated as honored guests. What are justice and truth today? They are no more than words mumbled by the lips, but once they were an inextinguishable flame burning within the hearts of men. What is left of the honor when men cease to regard it as more than an empty symbol? It is like the lyre in the hands of a man with blistered fingers, or as the flute played by one with scabby lips. The instruments remain, but where are the musicians? Without the musicians, where are the melodies? In the land of Egypt, periods of righteousness have come and gone like ripples passing over a quiet pond. There have been periods of material greatness, ripples of longer duration, but they have not been at one with the ripples of righteousness. Throughout all times, there have been two visible forms of worship, with their many variations, that of the highborn and that of the people. Now they have been blended for many generations. The worship of the high God and the knowledge of the sacred mysteries, kept hidden by the enlightened ones and the twice-born, were behind both and veiled within them. Where else could these things be better concealed? The house of the hidden places was established 50 generations before the reign of the mighty one, who was Pharaoh, and in those days the high God was known to men and was revealed even after. But 20 generations before the evil Amalekah descended like locusts upon the land, there was strife most grievous. This is set forth in the scroll belonging to Kabit Kant, son of Nemaroth, copied from an old writing, copied from another, which was the property of a temple in Pinhamur. It says, "The twin powers drawn down entwined about themselves and grew ever stronger. Even as waters are dammed to be drawn upon, so was the united power built up into a reserve of force. A storehouse of strange energy was prepared. The thoughts of Seth-Shara ever turned about within himself, and behold, the day came when he believed the secret key to be his, the key that would open the inner chamber of sacred mysteries. Yet he made the mistake of all such men down through the ages, unaware that his very unworthiness forbade his admittance into the inner mysteries, that though he could deceive himself and others, he could not deceive the inner guardians. It is true that some who were admitted to the outer chamber were indiscreet and spoke carelessly before the ears of the unadmitted men. It is ever thus when goodness is not persecuted, for goodness blooms best in the barren soil of intolerance and injustice. Anyway, in this manner the seeds of strife and suffering were sown. Then Set-Sherah conceived a plan whereby the multitude would be admitted to participate in the sacred mysteries, hitherto kept exclusive, for the worthy ones among men. He gathered together a following of his own from among the people and promised, in return for their devotion, that the knowledge of sacred things hitherto kept from them should now become available. He called those who followed him the enlightened ones of the gods. Naturally, such folly could have but one outcome, for the experience of ages has shown that sacred things cannot be revealed to the profane. Not only would the things revealed be disdained by the ignorant, as swine would trample pearls underfoot to gobble up a handful of filth, but the multitude in its sinfulness would destroy the delicate beauty of the hidden mysteries. Like goats devouring hangings of artistically patterned loveliness, they would decide that the gross things to which they were accustomed were more satisfying. The new teachings grew in strength and spread throughout the whole land. They went from city to city, gaining followers in every one. The multitude is ever powerful. Therefore, he who controls it by whatever means is himself powerful. Thus it came about that eventually Set-Sherah was able to challenge the authority of the twice-born. This authority was always vulnerable, as it sought to rule by wisdom and goodness rather than by power and subtlety. Only when wisdom and goodness rule the wise and good can such rule succeed. Such time may never come. Though the followers of Set-Sherah, S-E-T-S-H-R-A, could not discover the higher secrets, they learned the lower ones, and these were twisted to their own ends. Thus was developed the worship of dark spirits, a vile and poisonous thing that perverted the thoughts of the people and led them away from the path of spirituality. They strayed into all manner of strange and corrupting byways. Then their hearts hardened by earthly sordidness. They rose up, clamoring for the blood of the righteous ones. Now Set-Sherah gained the ear of the king, and pouring in a flood of venom wrapped up in fine speech, he overwhelmed the heart of his majesty. None in the land had a tongue more subtle than that of Set-Sherah. Then new shrines were set up in the temples, for new forms of worship appeared, pandering to the weaknesses of men. The hidden places of the enlightened ones were profaned with wickedness, and the secret chambers of the twice-born were polluted with vile rites. Therefore, the enlightened ones and the twice-born withdrew from the eyes and knowledge of men. Their days was yet to dawn, but none among them would ever have thought that never in Egypt would that day be. Yet dawn it will, even though it be in some strange land where the ways of men are different and in some manner inconceivable to men of our times. Will they be people such as we? O my land, having known you, how strange all others appear. Away from you I will be as a fish cast up onto dry land. In the temples dedicated to many different gods, the forms of worship were subtly changed to serve another end. The servants of the Dark Ones were able to display wonders before the multitude, but these wonders were works of deceit. They revealed mysteries, but the mysteries were not the most sacred ones. These were never known by any likely to betray them. The thoughts of the people were poisoned. All manner of rites aimed at satisfying carnal cravings were introduced. Simple, satisfying answers were given to content the hearts of the people, and all manner of rewards were promised. For payment made, men were promised forgiveness of even the most grievous wickedness. It is well that the ears of the dumb gods were unhearing, or they would have been deafened by the clamor of pleas for petty things. The servants of the Dark Ones left not even the dead to rest in peace, but sought to satisfy the living with words from beyond the tomb. Even the blood of men was offered in dark places, while in others of greater evil, men, yes, and even children, were tormented to give pleasure. Such is the nature of men when the scales weigh down against righteousness. The hosts of the Dark Ones were well skilled in battle, and they drove out all those who stood against them. The forces of righteousness were scattered. The sacred shrines which stood before the veil of truth were spoiled. The ornaments of beauty and the sacred vessels were taken away to be profaned by sin-soiled hands. The enlightened ones and the twice-born were hunted down like beasts of the chase. They were slain and buried in the ground like dogs. Their resting places remained unmarked and unattended. The leader of light cried out, "O great God, what can I do? How shall your servants be saved? What shall be done unto those who have profaned your sacred shrines? What can I do to turn back the rising waters of iniquity and temper the wild winds of wickedness? How can the black cloud of ignorance be lifted? What shall be the just reward of those who have slain the faithful?" The voice coming forth by the Spirit of God said, "Concern yourself not with those who have persecuted you. Leave them to follow the path of their own choice. Vengeance is with me. I will measure without stint. Justice never sleeps and never forgets. The reward of the wicked awaits them in the hall of no hiding place. Justice will speak the final word. The leader of light and those with him fled into the land beyond Sheri and built there the temple in the rock which stands against Shinnah. In this land the forces of the Dark Ones were cast back, yet still some among the faithful beseech their God to save them. Thus it has ever been. This is the nature of man, that in his hour of distress he cries out to God in bitterness of heart, and they who deserted God in better times expect him to turn towards them. Yet such is the nature of God that this he would do were it to the good of men, which it is but rarely. In the land of Egypt, the great shrines were deserted by the enlightened ones and abandoned by truth. They became places of darkness. They were as lamps without flame, as fields without crops, as wells without water. The generation of those days passed down into dust. Their spirit arose in the everlasting halls to stand before the inescapable one. Then, in the generation of Pahopha, the name of Osira began to be known in the land, and for 12 generations it grew in greatness. The Upuru departed, the Ameluka, Ameluka came. 10 generations entered into the eternal habitations, and Tathmasis came to make the name of Egypt known throughout all the lands. He too could no more stay the hand of decay than could the meanest slave. Then, in his day, Nabahatan came to rule in the land of Egypt. While he was still a child and yet at nurse, the young woman who tended him at night took a man in lust without attending to her purification. Therefore, when she came back nigh unto the sleeping prince, she broke the protective wall about his sleeping place. Thus a formless one came up from out of its lair beside the flaming lake and entered the bedchamber. Because the young woman was as she was, it could not be seen by her. It was a formless, flowing thing that spread itself out in the darkness to slink across the floor. Its fluted snout was in the midst of a face twisted backwards, like all its kind. It raised an awful mouth up to kiss the sleeping child, and the child was stricken. In the morning, the child's body was consumed with an inner fire lit the night before, and the breath of life struggled against the occupying demon to enter the body. In those days, there lived a great physician named, and he drew out the demon with things of power and doused the fire with impregnated water. None but the greatest of physicians could have released a tongue from the grip of a demon, yet this was done by Mahu. Perhaps it is well to give a fuller account of this pharaoh, not as a matter of history, for this I am not competent to record, but to show what can happen when those unqualified seek to reveal the light. Also, the perils that can attend such folly. Nabahatan rose to rule while still very young, and though it is said that he died in the grip of a demon, the blood welling up from within his mouth, the other version, that he died a tombless wanderer, seems more probable, for it is so written on the tablets of Ammon. In the days of his father, the enlightened ones had regained strength in the land of Egypt, though they remained a hidden force, and all their deeds were secret. Nevertheless, they were not... You know what? I'm going to save Nabahatan for tomorrow.